Hello, my name is Eureka Monroe. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a different type of video. I'm just going to do a little story time and update on my IVF cycle. The last time I had my IVF cycle little video, and I'll have that linked up somewhere here. It was like a get ready with me IVF journey. Basically kind of talking about like my infertility issues and what led me up to actually now being in this position of being a candidate for IVF. So I'll have that linked somewhere where you guys can check that out. But this is just an update to that. So I was supposed to start a cycle in the second week of, what was it, April? I was going to say August. But yeah, it was the second week of April. I actually started, I keep saying I was supposed to, but I actually started a actual IVF cycle the second week of April. I believe it was April 10th. And I started my stems, which, as you guys know, or if you don't know, that's like medication, doing like injections, but they call it stems or stimulation. So I started that for a week and took the medication that I purchased, me and my husband, out of our own money. I granted our insurance covered half of it, but we did pay over out of pocket in the range of over $4,000. And so, yeah, long story short is that I, before that, was taking for 2 weeks these little puppies here, the Juno Faye birth control. And apparently, I didn't know this, but, and of course my doctor didn't either, that apparently, you know, obviously there's, well, he knew that there were certain dosages of birth control, but he didn't know that my body wasn't going to react to this particular dosage. I mean, this was like, I guess for me, like the equivalent of taking a Tic Tac. It did absolutely fucking nothing. So that cycle ended up being a bust. So I ended up, after a week of taking the medication that I spent over $4,000 for, you do what's called like updates, where you go into go to your doctor and get ultrasounds and blood work to basically see how the stems or the stimulation or the medication is doing with your ovaries and how big your eggs are growing. So every week that or I should say every other day that I was going in, they weren't really seeing the numbers as far as like the size of the eggs. They were wondering why. They were like, a person of your age and your health, you should be producing, especially with the dosage that they had me on with the medication. They were like, we should be seeing an increase with your numbers of your follicles, as they call it, which is your eggs. And so they weren't seeing those numbers. So they did like some blood work and checked, and sure enough, I guess because these little pills here did nothing, I was actually ovulating, or had ovulated, right before or right during the stimulation part of my IVF cycle, which, long story short, will cause me not to actually produce any more eggs, because my body has already ovulated at some point before that cycle even started, or right when it started, and released an egg. So my body already did what it was naturally supposed to do, which is the whole reason why they have you start taking the birth control, is to basically kind of take over your cycle and manipulate it to where it works on their schedule. But my body was like, fuck you, I'm not doing what you want me to do on this low dosage of birth control. I'm going to do what I've been doing. So that cycle was useless. I put all those medication that I paid in my body for nothing. and basically had to cancel my whole IVF cycle. As you can see, the shit still pisses me off, because it's like basically we're little test dummies for these doctors to kind of, it's like they kind of cluster you all in one group, and they're like, let's put every woman on just one type of birth control. I just feel like there should be like some type of like, I mean, it's like, well, at least I thought that was the whole point of the baseline ultrasound, where they do the blood work and all that different stuff, is to see where your progesterone levels are and kind of like almost like determine what hormone level you're already at, and then base that off of the birth control or dosage they should give you. I don't know. I'm not a medical professional. Didn't go to school for that shit. But what do I know? I could be completely wrong. And this is no shade to any medical physicians or even my medical physician. They had no way of knowing what my body would like, or what level of birth control my body would basically react to. So, yeah. Moving forward, that IVF cycle in April was canceled. So I had to wait till after my menstrual cycle started, according to my doctor, to start up another IVF cycle. So I started up, and now my doctor has me on this birth control that I'm going to have to take now for a month and a half, which is apparently a higher dosage of hormones, and that's the Nikon birth control, and they actually haven't had me on it for a lot longer. The last one I was only on for a course of 2 weeks. This is actually a month and a half that I'm going to be on this one, and supposedly it's a higher hormone dosage, so we'll see. I know all this stuff, and I did research, and I know all this process is just like trial and error, and I had myself mentally prepared for like a failed cycle, but like a canceled one before I even started kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie. So yeah, long story short is that I'm taking these birth controls now. It's the month of May, and I have to take that until mid-June, and then I stop that, and then I'm gonna start my stimulation again, which, by the way, I have to pay another $4,000. There's no reimbursement, nothing like that. I have to pay another $4,000 for medication. Yeah, bullshit. And so I'll be starting that in the second to last week of June, and I keep my fingers crossed that will, that this birth control will work and prevent me from ovulating, or get me on the right schedule that they want me to be on, and that the stems will work properly. And then, yeah, moving forward, my actual transfer date that they supposedly have me scheduled, because it's all based off of how my body reacts to the medication, is scheduled for July 6th. So yeah, this is a long video, all for me to tell you that my new transfer date is July 6th. So yeah, sorry this was a long-winded video. I just really wanted to make this video because I wanted women to understand, who are also might be starting IVF, that there are a lot of little hiccups. I mean, and they tell you that, and I've watched enough YouTube videos to know of the failed cycles or delayed cycles, but going through it myself, I can't stress enough that there possibly, hopefully this doesn't happen to too many other people, but there are a lot of possible hiccups to IVF. You do pay a lot of out-of-pocket expense. So whatever baseline price that they tell you, add another 5 to 8 grand on top of that, possibly, because it's like all like trial and error, you know, at your expense, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully, you know, keep me in your prayers for July's transfer date, that I even make it to that point and that it's successful. And then, yeah, then I have to do that wait of seeing that if, you know, it implants and all that different stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys an update from my last video. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.